Hi, everybody. I'm Dean Walker. I'm the founder of a small organization on the interwebs called Living Resilience. And for those of you who have been around Resilience for a while, you know that we're literally on the cusp of offering the largest training, online training opportunity for the collapse aware and collapse acceptant communities around the world. This is September of 2024 that I'm speaking with you. And this large scale training that we're offering through Zoom and our online content is called Islands of Sanity in a Mad World. And it's going to be a year long. There'll be a small number of Zoom gatherings each month of what will actually be 13 months. It'll be September 2024 through September of 2025. And again, each month there will be a set number of Zoom classes or gatherings or meetings, if you will. And those will be done live and they'll be recorded for people who aren't able to actually join us live in those Saturday Zoom calls. All the information that you're going to need, that if you're interested at all, is going to be down below in the show notes. It'll be up on the screen while I'm talking to you now. And there are lots of ways to get the information to your satisfaction down in the show notes when you're done watching here, if you are indeed interested. It's important to mention that a couple things. I'm crystal clear. Believe me, I really am clear to my bone marrow that we are in a world of too much content all the time, everywhere. So it does seem a little crazy for me to be offering a year-long uh, online training offering uh, when what we're subject to every day is like a fire hose to the face of too much content, even the really great content. But I've got to tell you, this is our 10th year of offering support and resources and practices to the collapse aware and collapse acceptant communities around the world. And I've made every mistake that there is to make and probably made most of them two or three times. So it's been a long haul to come up with more streamlined and more assimilable and relatable content with regard to human-caused collapse of Earth and human systems, which is at the core of what our work is. It's basically to offer safe spaces and nourishing and educational, informative spaces where each of us can determine what matters most to us and then curate practices and resources that help us to be um, more and more present in the face of larger and larger stressors. And really, the bottom line of all that is, so what happens? How will you be? How will you react? What will be your capacity for presence the next time something large happens to you, your family, your neighborhood, your nation, the world? So, if we are expanding our capacity to be present in the face of larger and larger stressors, then it just makes sense that we are going to be more able to be of service to the people we love in the face of those challenges, those stressors. That's the nature of this work. So, if you've done any of the intro courses that we've done over the years, you have a sense of that we started out almost every time with some new way of speaking about what is often called doom scrolling. to give people a sense of this is what's actually happening. This is how long we've known it. This is where we are now, and this is how it's growing, and this is how it's intensifying. And that's one piece that we're changing radically in this work, in this particular offering, which again is a year-long course called Islands of Sanity in a Mad World. So we're going to be starting with something that usually came toward the end of a course in the years past, and that is how to transform our relationship with the story of our culture, the story of the global business as usual culture that is the backbone of everything we're used to, all in the, especially in the privileged northern countries in this world. This is the where the story comes from that is behind all of our education, all of the universities, all of the corporations, all of the government actions, all of the military, the vast majority of our culture of any kind around the world comes from these essential stories about what is it to be a human being? What is our reason for being on this planet? And the only way I know to interact with that in a way that we could possibly change anything that we have actual agency to change is to bring our attention down to a level that is extraordinarily intimate and personal, and it is out from there extraordinarily relationship based. So one thing you might notice is that we are a global culture, this business as usual culture. But the one thing that's gotten us into this predicament is that we've disconnected from our core sources of meaning and relationship in a human life. We've disconnected from deeper self, disconnected from other people, disconnected from Earth and the beyond human population, and even disconnected from soul. In this course, we will be going in depth into what the costs of each of those types of disconnection are and how to self-assess. You know, this is not for me to tell you what you are disconnected from and what you need to reconnect. That's really the magic of this, is that each of us will be able to curate and to determine for ourselves what matters most to me. What are the elements in my life that really matter to me? And how can I expand my capacity to be present and of service to them in times that promise to be more and more stressful as times go on? And it's going to be happening quickly. So, in the work of living resilience, and particularly in the work that we're unveiling in this 13-month, actually, Islands of Sanity in a Mad World course, is how you and I will have different things that matter most. You and I will have different practices and resources that we'll be curating to directly address that which matters most to us. The really the brilliance of this particular simple form of doing this work is that we can still sit in circle and be very much in service to one another. We can be of great value to one another, not just in camaraderie and friendship, which is beyond its weight in gold in terms of what it's worth to have a safe circle to be able to sit in, where we can ask others to be another set of eyes, a reality check as I'm doing my own work, which eventually will come on to doing some amount of shadow work in this shadow-driven world. That's what most of us have been, all of us have been saturated in since birth. That's that shadow-driven atmosphere of this world for thousands of years now, but especially in this past 100 years. This takes work for us to desaturate from it as a part of the various kinds of practices that we'll be engaging with here in this course. So that's a small snapshot of one small sliver of what this work is about. It is also about finding ways to nourish one another, to provide a friendship and a sober, clear um, feedback from the world of what is it like to be back in connection and back in relationship with people that is a wholesome and nourishing relatedness, as opposed to the polarization of our world that is promising to bring more and more violence and more uh, domination of one group of people over another that just seems imminent. It's coming. It's much of it is here already, and it has been for a long time. But I see an acceleration and intensification of those negative aspects of the twisted way that relationship shows up now. And what I'm trying to assert is that these kind of circles, and certainly we're not the only group offering this kind of learning, this kind of collaborative learning and growing space, but there still aren't many of us. So I just strongly recommend and invite you as warmly as I can to come check us out. Come to the links of the Living Resilience online community space, which is a Mighty Networks platform. That's where our courses live. That's where our special interest groups are. That's where the chat and sharing space for the course is. So you'll see that link. First off, if you're interested at all to check this out, there are a number of membership levels, including free of charge. So this is not about us making a whole bunch of money on a bunch of folks who are desperate to find some help. This is us doing our best to make this very important work available at every level of financial viability. So you're invited to come check us out. It's starting up this Saturday. If you're watching this today, which is Thursday, September 5th. And so this Saturday, the 7th, will be the first Saturday of September 2024. And all of the months of this training, this more than a year's worth, are going to be the first and third Saturdays of every month, and 2 1-hour Zoom sessions in the mornings, Pacific time, uh, in those Saturdays. So 2 Saturdays a month, each of them having 2 1-hour Zoom calls. And then all the rest of the coursework is available in that Living Resilience community space, where you're going to find the way to uh, register for that, to join up and become a member, if you will, down below. You then sign up for the uh, Islands of Sanity in a Mad World course and dive in. And this is really, it's coming soon. One of the 2 hours that we're going to be meeting each of the Saturdays is a time to focus on a particular book that we'll be reading together for a couple of 3 months. We'll have a series of books that we'll be reading over this year. And the first one that we're offering is Climate Cure from Jack Adam Weber. Jack is a longtime friend and an extraordinary human being. He's one of the most deeply committed and embodied healers I have ever met. He's a longtime Chinese medicine practitioner, and he is also a somatic therapist and primarily focusing on how to integrate and heal trauma in our systems individually and collectively. That's why I so love his ability to articulate that bridge between inner healing, this inner world, and bringing it to a sense of coherence, reconnection, vitally important, like sober connections that really make up a healthy body and a healthy life. He's able to bridge that experience and that engagement that we might have with our own healing our own body with what is the external analog to that. So how is my inner healing like the healing of the world? So I'm going to leave it at that. There'll be links in the show notes about how to get a hold of Jack Adam Weber's book, Climate Cure. And it would be great if you would just dive in. Just dive in and get as much read of the first couple of chapters as you can. And by then, it'll be time for us to get together on either the first or the third Saturday of whatever month you're in. That's another piece I wanted to be sure to underscore for you. So if you're watching this in late September, say you've missed the first and third Saturdays, or you're into October, and this sounds like an interesting thing, but God, it's already October. I missed it. You haven't missed it. It will be a little bit of catch up, but we've done everything we can to keep the core curriculum to an absolute minimum, and it is self-paced. You're going to be able to whip through the 2 or 3 video components that will be really essential for each month. We're also, as I mentioned before, we're going to be recording each of the Saturday sessions so that you can catch up as you can with both the focus groups about the book and the focus groups about the Islands of Sanity in a Mad World course material and the practices within that. So it is very possible for you to engage well after we've officially begun. Please know you're warmly welcomed. And if you have any questions, my contact information is down there in the show notes as well as on screen. I'm just going to slow down for a moment and as I finish up here, and I just want to let you know what I'm seeing really since I published my own book back in 2017 called The Impossible Conversation, Choosing Resilience and Reconnection at the End of Business as Usual. That's the name of the book that I put out in 2017. Really, all the way since then, I've seen nothing but intensification and acceleration of every conceivable indicator of the negative impact of human beings on both Earth and human systems. And I am very clear in my own experience, not something that you need to believe or be on the same timeline as me, but I am seeing us in an ever more intensive and accelerated way, causing collapse of both Earth and human systems right now, even where we're most insulated from all this. In the more privileged countries, we still have all the insulation that can keep us sort of sedated and not having to really grapple with this. We have air conditioning here. We just had a fire warning and an evacuation warning where I live in Southern Oregon, and it is the heat of the summer. And we're basically on year-round fire watch here now. That's just the way it is. That's just one tiny fragment of what I'm talking about these intensifying and accelerating indicators of our negative impact causal to collapse of Earth and human systems. Um, I'm particularly uh, interested in and curious about what each of you will experience as you come into the very first month here in September 2024's recorded and archived and ready to watch at any time materials, course materials. We're going to be going straight into what are the stories, the narratives that have us be a self-terminating culture around the world. What is it that has us being pedal to the metal, accelerating to what appears to be the termination of our own culture by us? These are extraordinary times, and this is the most difficult conversation in human history. So, ironically, yes, we want to engage with that in a very real way, but this is not about doom scrolling. This is not about smashing our insides and our ability, what little we have left of our, what is precious to us and what relationships we do have. This is about cultivating whatever beauty we have in our lives, cultivating and expanding that in the face of the most challenging predicament in human history. So this could possibly mean a complete reinvention of a personal story with which we can live life. That is certainly what the seed is that we're planting here in the September course material in Islands of Sanity in a Mad World. May sound like a lot. It is a lot in terms of the gravitas or the potential density of the material. What I can assure you is that how we have crafted our spaces, our circles, and the balancing material to be able to keep being in touch with and encouraging our connection with the sacred, our relationship with the sacred and with beauty. And we can keep asking ourselves, how can I expand my capacity to be more and more present to that sacred, to those relationship, to my own presence in the face of these remarkable circumstances. This is a magical time. It's an extraordinary time. We look forward to seeing you here in any of the sessions that we're doing in Islands of Sanity. There are other less large introductory course offerings here. If you have any questions at any time, you'll find my contact information down in the show notes, and please don't hesitate to write me an email. We can connect up and see what the right amount of or what right intensity or right scale of the material for coursework for you might be. Thank you for your interest, and I look forward to meeting you soon.